When I was younger, I could read 20 books back to back.
So this is my book list in April, like half in March and half in April, and I'm just gonna read it out. This is the start. Crest. But anyways, the first book that I read in April is Crest by Marissa Meyer, Winter by Marissa Meyer, Markers at Midnight by Susan Nelson, The Maze Runner and the Scorch Trials by James Dashner, The Cousin of Ingo by Helen Dunmore, which this is the start of my holiday list, Rebel of the Sands by Alvin Hamilton, I Give You the Sun by Janie Nelson, This Shattered West by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Andia, and I was supposed to read Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, but I didn't get the story at all, so I just gave up. Bloodline by Michelle Mead, The Golden Lily, The Inner Good Spell, Fiery Heart, The Silver Shadows, Ruby Circle, all by Michelle Mead, and this is the end of my holiday list. Then I read The Selection by Kira Cass, which I loved, and I will continue with the series hopefully. The School for Good and Evil, The Last Ever After, and that's it for my April list.
And I don't even know how I did that. I'm amazed at myself. But now that I've grown older, obviously my whole mindset has changed. I'm an adult now. I have responsibilities. I have less time. But when I think about it, I think the reason why I am not able to read as much is honestly because of social media. When I was younger, obviously we had social media. We had Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But the social media apps weren't really that addictive. There's nothing that fun about swiping through pictures of people's lives. Social media wasn't really used as entertainment, especially because YouTube was growing at that time. So when I was bored when I was younger, I would just pick up a book and I would read. And that's how I think I was able to get through so many books, especially considering obviously when you're in high school, you're still going to school 5 days a week from 8 to 3, and obviously you have assignments and you're stressing out about school. Basically your whole entire life you are stressing out about something, and I use reading as a way to kind of decompress. But nowadays, because of TikTok, I definitely have gotten into the habit of picking up my phone instead of a book, and when I want to kind of wind down and not think about anything, I end up watching TikTok for hours instead of reading my book. Definitely those hours that I spent on TikTok could have been used to read my book. So for today, I'm completely blocking out social media. Today is just a day that we're going to be focused solely on reading. I have a few options for the books that I want to read. In this video, I wanted to start reading a physical book, which is Railia by Lynette Noni. So this one, I have started rereading the series. I read 𝐸 I think last year or maybe 2 years back, I cannot remember, so I have the idea of starting to reread the series, and then I just never picked it up. I think mainly because my books were back into boxes, so I didn't really have access to the books. I've read 72% of The Fiery Heart, which I'm reading for another video, but I just wanted to finish it off in this video, so I'm not going to talk too much about this book. I've chosen some books as kind of my TBR for this video. The first one is Illusion of Fate, which is a book that has been on my want to read list for a really long time. 5 Survive, because it's been a long time since I've read a mystery / thriller book. And then I also have Heartbreaker, which is a romance book. But that's basically the books that I may pick up today. I finished reading Fiery Heart, which this wasn't as good, not even as I remembered. I think I knew that I didn't really like it as much because we got both of Sydney's and Adrian's point of view, and I think because of that the dynamic of the way that the book is written changed a little bit. So I really liked the first 3 books in the series. I will probably only read them if I were to reread the series in the future. However, I do want to continue on with the next 2 books in the series just to complete my final reread, and then I'm just gonna ignore it. I know it ends happily, so that's enough, but in terms of the romance and the writing, the first 3 books is so good, and then the rest of it just gets so dramatic and lovey-dovey and honestly annoying. I did enjoy this book. I read a majority of it in one day, and then I just decided to take a break and then finish it off today. But yeah, unfortunately this one isn't really my favorite, and I think I finally had the courage to say to myself, yeah, this one isn't as great as you thought it was, especially because when it comes to my favorite books, I think a part of me is just struggling to kind of still be like, oh, this book is so good, you know, even though it's not that good. I started reading Railia. I'm 32 pages into it so far, and this is really interesting. First of all, her parents are so funny because they are archaeologists, and she goes missing for a whole semester, I guess. When she comes back, her parents are freaking out. You know, she's missing, so she tells her all about the Madoran world, where in the first book she basically stepped into a library and gets introduced to this new world, and she goes to the school named Akane Academy, and she learns about magic, and she takes combat classes and stuff like that. It's so weird because her parents visit this world and they completely accept everything that happens, and then they choose to go to the world because they want to discover new things in the world, because they're archaeologists. They want to discover new things, I guess. So it's just so weird to me that they're completely okay with their daughter being in this fantasy world, and then they go there. Something that I realize is that a lot of the times in fantasy books, most of the times they don't have parents, or the parents are never really referred to. Yeah, they just don't have parents. So I think in this book, because she technically lived in this modern world, the author Lynette needed to find a way to, I guess, include the parents, but in a way that doesn't really hinder with the plot. But it's just so weird to me the way that she went around doing that. And then Alex, not gonna lie, she is the type of person who kind of embarrasses herself in front of everyone, which is sometimes a little bit hard to read. And I think she also has somewhat of the main character syndrome, where she can do anything and she's so special that she kind of gets away with it. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit annoying because it feels like she is written where she doesn't have any flaws and she kind of just gets away with things. Like, she is so perfect that everything not exactly always works out for her, but I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. There are some characters that are just written like that. I do really like the romance in this book, though. It is very slow burn over the course of the 5-book long series. I love the romance, and I do love certain points because, as I mentioned, it's a fantasy world in a boarding school. There's a lot of things going on, and I just want to reread those specific moments when I'm going to be eating, since I cannot read on my physical book because it's just a little bit difficult. I'm gonna start reading Illusions of Fate. So far, I'm doing good. I haven't been watching TikTok or anything. I have been thinking about it, you know, because it's such a regular thing in my daily life where I feel like I should pick up my phone and watch TikTok, but I'm really trying to stop thinking like that. But I think I've been doing well so far. I've decided to change my mind. I downloaded Railia on my Kindle, and while I'm eating, I just decided to read on my Kindle because I don't know, I don't want to start reading another book, especially because I just started reading the physical book. So for me, it's just I don't want to start reading a book, only read a little bit of it, then start reading another book, read only a little bit of it, then move back to the physical copy. So I just started reading it on my Kindle, and since I've already finished eating and everything, I'm gonna start reading back onto my physical copy. You know, I've kind of figured out what bothers me sometimes about the writing. I think it's because every single time Alex does something, all the characters kind of react to her in a way that sometimes feels a little bit unnatural. For example, she could do the tiniest thing and then they would all be laughing over her or being like, Alex, you're so funny kind of situation, which just felt really weird to me. And all the characters, not even her friends or anything, sometimes it's just her classmates, they're all chuckling while they overhear her conversation. So I think that was something that was kind of weird for me. In terms of social media, as I mentioned, I think I'm doing kind of a good job, and I just have to see until later on how much I can read. I am taking it a bit slowly. I'm naturally a fast reader anyways, but I'm really just trying to slow down a little bit more because I don't want to exhaust myself by reading too much, especially because when you read too much, you do tend to strain your eyes, and then, you know, sometimes your brain does get tired from reading. So that's why I'm trying to read a little bit more slowly, maybe take some breaks, do some eye exercises or something like that. I've read more of Railia, of course, and I think I've read a good chunk of it, but if I'm being honest, I've gotten to the point where I am kind of getting tired of reading. Not necessarily getting tired of reading this book, but just tired of reading. I need a break. But then what can I do as a break? Because usually I would go on my phone and watch TikTok. So I don't know what I want to do. If I go on YouTube, I don't think that would make anything better because I cannot find anything on YouTube to watch. The one thing that I can watch is Stephanie Sue. She has this whole Karen Read series, and I'm almost finished with the third part, but I'm gonna try my best to keep on reading. Maybe I'll stop my other book. I don't really know. I don't really know if I feel like doing it. I'm gonna try and continue on with the book. I can just tell that I'm getting tired. Like my head is starting to not hurt exactly, but you know that if you read for a really long time you start getting that feeling in your head. Maybe it's my eyes straining. It is starting to rain, which is crazy because the whole entire week the weather app told me that the weather was going to be bad, that it was going to be raining the whole entire week, and I swear this is the only day that it has been actually raining. It just has been very foggy and cloudy. I took a break from reading because, you know, I had the realization that I don't go on my phone constantly. I do other stuff and then I pick up my phone once I want a little break. But I think during the daytime and mainly from after lunch to around this time, if I'm being honest, yeah, I'm on my phone a lot. I decided to do some other stuff. I ate a little snack and I've read 189 pages of Railia, and I've decided that I cannot read this book through. The main reason why is because, as I mentioned before, there are little things that I'm kind of annoyed about in this book, and it's just repeated throughout. For example, she has a lot of fighting scenes in this book. She has never fought before, obviously, because she's human. So once she started going to 𝐸, she had to take combat classes, and she's fighting against these 𝐸𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐻, I think that's how you pronounce it, who are basically like elves or fairies, and obviously they're super skilled in fighting, they have super speed and everything, but for some weird reason she's still able to fight against them, and it's somewhat explained, but I don't know, it's just every single thing that she does has a good result, and every person who meets her, it seems like they instantly fall in love with her. Not really fall in love with her, but you know, it's very positive. So I don't know why. There's something about that kind of annoys me. You know, I'm gonna try my best to finish reading the book. I don't know if I want to go through the rest of the series because I don't know if I can handle it at this point, because even while rereading the first book I kind of felt the same way. So instead, you know what, I may just skim through the rest of the books in the series because I want to read the romance. I'm 62 pages into the Illusions of Fate, and I decided to start this while I was eating my little snack. I'll be honest, do I really understand what this book is about? No, because it feels like it's giving me whiplash. I would say it's a mix of historical fiction, fantasy, yeah, illusions, magic. It's literally called Illusions of Fate. But what I'm gathering is that our main character lives in this island where the people there are often looked down upon, and then she goes to the mainland to attend this school. She meets this guy named Finn, and this is why I say that it's giving me whiplash, because he just appears out of nowhere and it feels like they're forming this weird relationship with each other. It feels like it comes out of nowhere because it hasn't computed in my brain exactly what is happening, and there's a lot of back and forth going on in between them, and there is this black bird who is constantly following her around, and these birds also attack her. So I guess there's something to do with obviously magic, but we don't really know what's exactly is going on. But the reason why I think I'm so confused is because I have that feeling of this dreamlike state, which I get sometimes with books. I just feel like I'm hallucinating. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. That is how I feel while reading this book. I am enjoying it so far. I'm intrigued, but yeah, I think after this I'm gonna probably do some other stuff and then I'll come back and pick up the books. It's 8 o'clock right now, and originally I was gonna finish this video at 10, but I decided, you know what, I've already read so much today. I think I already have proven my point about how much you can read if you aren't on your phone and if you aren't on social media every single day. I'm aware that not everyone is a fast reader. I'm aware that not everyone has the luxury to take the time to read, but I think the whole purpose is basically just the idea of if you stop going on TikTok, you would have more time to either be productive or to be involved in hobbies or other stuff. TikTok is just a frustrating place because even though I'm on it, even though it's addictive, I swear half of the things that I'm scrolling through is the most useless thing. It's either rage baity, I read the comments and they make me so mad and I want to argue with the people in the comments, but at the same time I don't want to answer at all. And that's why TikTok to me is kind of like a toxic place. So why do I even pick it up anyways? Why don't I just read my book? It's because it's addictive and we have a toxic relationship and it's really, really bad. To kind of summarize, so today I read The Fiery Heart and I had 30% of that left to read, which I think I'd say is probably around 100 pages. I read 189 pages of Railia, which after I stopped reading this, I did not pick it back up. I probably will finish it another time. And then I've read 156 pages of Illusions of Fate, which, you know what, the more that I get into this book, the more I'm actually enjoying it. Do I still fully understand what's going on? No, but I'm there for the ride because it's one of those books that truly you just have to immerse yourself in the world, the magic, the characters, and you just have to follow the rule. Like, it's not a book that you should think too deeply about in a way because it really mainly focuses on the romance and this whole mystery about why the main character is sought after and what is this whole mystery behind the love interest that is honestly causing her pain. But yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it so far, and I've read a few of Kirsten's White books, so maybe this is a sign that I actually really like her books. Today I definitely read more than I would usually, and the amount of pages that I read today would probably take me a couple of days or even a week to read that amount of pages, especially because I have been kind of putting off reading. Again, it just really shows that if I put my phone down, I would read so much more, and honestly it's something that I have been trying to do previously from me filming this video, but it hasn't really been working out. But doing this video has definitely helped to kind of motivate me and to hold me accountable. And it's interesting because the fatigue I get while watching TikTok I got while reading, but it's worse when I'm on TikTok. Anyways, I should stop complaining about TikTok. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and all that jazz, and I will see you guys in another one. Bye!